I absolutely recognize that there are people who have truly been victimized, who have had those traumatic experiences. And what we're going to discuss today is not applicable to those experiences. Hey there! Are you a Christian woman who's ready to strengthen your faith and stop the madness in your mind? The worry, doubt, anxiety. Do you want something more for your life but are not sure where to even begin? You've come to the right place. Hi, I'm Kristin Campbell. I'm excited that you're here as we journey together to discover mindset renewal and empowered faith for the Christian woman. Hi, everyone. So happy you joined me today as I go deeper into this concept of cause and effect. In the neuro-linguistic programming world, there's this baseline frame assumption called cause and effect. And the premise assumes, as true in all of life, that you are either at the effect of things that happen to you, or you are at the cause of them. So meaning you are either taking responsibility for your experience, or you're just kind of falling, for lack of a better word, victim to them. And before I even continue, I need to make very clear that what I'm going to go into today and what I'm going to talk about today is not applicable to trauma. I highly encourage you to seek help and support in processing that, because this is not what we're talking about, and I really do not want to make light of anybody who has been victimized. So please, that is not what this podcast is about. What I'm talking about when I say that, and I'm going to try not even to use that word, it's really in more relation to our day-to-day living and our daily mindsets, where I see people, and I myself tend to be at the effect more than not, when really we don't need to be. And we can see this in our daily living and our daily mindsets as soon as those excuses start popping up. And excuses are really signals that you are living at the effect. Yet, when you can shift that and you can shift your perspective into taking ownership, taking responsibility, whether it's good or bad, that actually empowers you to move forward in your life. And this shift from living in effect to living in cause, it takes awareness, it takes practice, it takes intentionality to reframe your perspective. And it really applies in the tiniest events in your life. So, for example, I remember so clearly during this really, really busy season of my life, I was in the shower. And of course, that's where all your amazing thinking happens, is when you're in the shower. And there was a gathering that a friend was having that I was really mulling over whether or not I should even attend. I hadn't seen these people in a long time, and one of the many reasons on my no list, the reason I didn't want to go, was that I knew this question, how's your business going, was going to come up. And in true Enneagram 6 fashion, I was beginning to rehearse my answer in the shower, days in advance to an imaginary question, which I'm a work in progress. But I began to just rehearse, what am I going to say? And everything that I was coming up with just didn't sit right. I was just getting so discouraged, and I was just feeling so awful about what was going on in my life. And that's when I had this aha God moment, which brought me back to this principle of cause and effect. Now, at the time, my life was such a blur of practices being at the same time, but in different towns with different kids, and nonstop games. And my daughter was really struggling with issues in gymnastics. My husband's travel schedule just started to get really intense, and on top of just everyday living. And I remember that there was a lot of school events happening, that my kids were getting sick. I mean, we didn't have a rhythm. We didn't have a plan. I had very little time, and I had even less energy to invest in building my business. And, those events, they were real, very real. They took place. So in many people's minds, myself included, those were considered legitimate excuses, legitimate reasons to not have built up my business during that time. The problem really was within myself, because when I would relay that to people, I began to feel so defeated. There was just something sad about that statement that was stirring up within me, and it didn't sit right with me. And I could really hear all those intrusive thoughts coming in. It just set me up to believe that I didn't have the capability to overcome obstacles, to even have a successful business. And that was the lie right there. And it's so subtle, but it's one that if I didn't catch it, it would have destroyed me. So then, again, I began rehearsing something different. I began saying, in response to this imaginary question that may or may not ever come up, but I said, I decided to give my full focus to my family this past season. And I've put my business on hold temporarily, but man, I am on track for next quarter. And wow, it made such a huge difference within me. Nothing about my circumstances changed. I didn't even get out of the shower yet. The only thing that had changed was that I took 100% responsibility for putting my business on hold, which in hindsight, yes, I did make that choice to put my family first, whether I was aware of it or not. I had that choice all along, because I could have chosen not to let them play sports, or to delegate to other people, or, whatever it could have been, because we have choice. And sometimes not choosing, that's still a choice. So why was I hiding under that excuse? Because that really put me in this, victim mentality. Yet taking ownership of the choices, it empowered me. And it gave off that vibe to other people that I am capable and successful, which I absolutely am. God did not create me as less than. God did not create you as less than. Romans 8:37 says you are more than a conqueror in Christ Jesus. I stepped out of that shower feeling so confident in myself and in my life choices. And again, the circumstances didn't change. All that changed was I shifted my perspective from being at the effect of my circumstances to being at the cause of my circumstances. There's nothing to pity here. Move along. I was in a season. God still had a plan. My choice was good within that. His timing was good. Everything was good. So I want to ask you a question. What areas in your own life do you feel the excuses leaving you defeated? And is there a way to shift your perspective from being at the effect to being the cause? Taking personal responsibility is hard, yet allowing the enemy access to your mindset and to your perspective, man, that is dangerous. The choice is yours. Thank you for listening to today's podcast. I hope you walked away a little stronger in your faith and freer in your mind. You are so loved. If you liked this episode, share it with a friend. Leave your ratings and reviews, and engage with me on social media. I'd love to hear from you.